I had spent weeks preparing for that evening. My daughter's promotion deserved celebration, something elegant, something worthy of all her hard work. The dining table downstairs gleamed beneath the chandelier, set with polished silverware and crystal glasses. Fresh white flowers rested in the center, their scent drifting through the house. Everything looked perfect. Upstairs, I stood in front of the mirror, fastening the clasp of my navy blue dress. Simple, refined. I pinned a small antique silver brooch to the fabric, one my mother had given me years ago. I smiled faintly at my reflection. Tonight wasn't about me, it was about my daughter. Then I heard her voice from the staircase. "Mom?" I stepped into the hallway. "Yes, sweetheart?" She stood a few steps below me, not quite meeting my eyes. There was hesitation in her posture, like she was bracing herself. "Please don't come downstairs," she said quietly. For a moment, I thought I'd misheard. "What do you mean?" She took a breath and finally looked up. Her expression was unfamiliar, cold, distant. "This dinner is important. Ryan's mother will be sitting at the table. She knows how to behave at formal events. She's more appropriate." The words landed heavily. I felt the air leave my lungs, but I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I simply nodded and smiled. "All right," I said calmly. "Enjoy your evening." I closed my bedroom door and sat on the edge of the bed, my fingers resting on the brooch. From downstairs, laughter floated upward, glasses clinking, voices overlapping. I recognized my son-in-law's booming laugh, and hers, the woman who had taken my place at my own table. After a while, I stood, adjusted my hair, and walked downstairs. Every conversation stopped. My daughter's face went pale. My son-in-law's smile vanished. And beside me stood a man in a tailored suit, calm and composed. He said, "I'd like to introduce you. This is Mrs. Harris, the majority shareholder of the company." Silence filled the room. I met my daughter's eyes, offered a polite smile, and turned back toward the stairs. That night, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse anyone. But everything changed. You might think that moment was about revenge, but it wasn't. To understand why I walked away so calmly, you need to know how I became the woman standing there that night. To understand why I didn't argue that night, you need to understand the kind of woman life shaped me into. I wasn't always calm. I wasn't always controlled. There was a time when I believed love meant sacrifice, and that sacrifice meant silence. I married young, as women often did in my generation. I gave up my studies, my dreams, my voice, because I believed family came first. And for many years, I told myself that was enough. My husband was a hard-working man, but also a proud one. Decisions were his to make. My role was to support, to adapt, to smooth over rough edges. When things went wrong, I learned not to question, not to complain. I learned how to smile, even when something inside me felt painfully hollow. When my children were born, they became my entire world. I poured everything I had into raising them, my time, my energy, my patience. I was the one who stayed up through fevers, school stress, heartbreaks. I was always there, always reliable, always invisible. As the years passed, I noticed something quietly changing. My children grew independent, and I was proud of them. But somewhere along the way, my presence became expected rather than appreciated. I was no longer mom who sacrificed everything. I was just Mom, background, furniture. When my husband passed away, I felt an unexpected sense of freedom mixed with grief. For the first time, I had to learn who I was without serving someone else's expectations. I began managing my own finances, attending workshops, reconnecting with old friends. Slowly, very slowly, I found confidence I didn't know I still had. I invested wisely. I listened more than I spoke. I learned when to step back and when to step forward. And most importantly, I learned the power of patience. So when my daughter asked me not to come downstairs, it hurt, but it didn't break me. I had already survived far worse than being dismissed at my own table. I knew something she didn't yet understand. Life has a way of revealing truths at exactly the right moment. That night wasn't the end of our relationship. It was the beginning of a lesson. I'll tell you who the man in the suit really was and why his presence changed the entire room in seconds. The man standing beside me that evening wasn't there by accident. He wasn't a guest, and he certainly wasn't impressed by crystal glasses or polite laughter. His name was Daniel Harris. Years earlier, when my husband was still alive, I had quietly invested money he insisted we didn't need to track. While everyone assumed I knew nothing about business, I listened, I observed, and when the time was right, I acted. Daniel had been my financial advisor for over a decade. He knew my limits, my goals, and my values. Together, we built something solid, slowly, carefully. I never needed recognition. I didn't need my name displayed. What mattered was security and independence. When my daughter's company began seeking major investors, Daniel recognized the opportunity. He suggested attending the dinner, not as a surprise, but as a quiet reminder. I never planned to embarrass my daughter. I didn't intend to interrupt her celebration. I simply refused to disappear. When Daniel introduced me formally, the room shifted. Conversations stopped because power had entered quietly. Suddenly, the woman they thought was just Mom was someone worth acknowledging. I saw confusion on my daughter's face, discomfort, realization. But I didn't stay to enjoy it. I excused myself politely and returned upstairs. That was the hardest part, not staying to explain, not demanding an apology. I knew explanations given too early are rarely understood. Later that night, after the guests left, my daughter came to my room. She didn't knock at first. She stood there, uncertain. "I didn't know," she finally said. I nodded. "You didn't ask." Silence stretched between us. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I believed her, but apologies don't erase lessons. They only open the door for growth. You'll hear the conversation that happened the next morning, one that finally said everything we'd both avoided for years. The next morning was quiet. No rushed breakfast, no forced smiles. Just two women sitting across from each other at the kitchen table, sunlight spilling gently through the window. My daughter looked tired, not just physically, but emotionally, like someone who had been confronted by a truth she wasn't ready to face. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she said. "I know, but intentions don't cancel impact." She nodded slowly. She told me about the pressure she felt from her in-laws, from her job, from the image she believed she had to maintain. She admitted she thought distancing herself from me made her appear more successful. I listened, not defensively, not angrily. Then I spoke. "I spent most of my life shrinking so others could feel comfortable," I said. "I won't do that anymore. Not for love, not for family, not for anyone." Tears filled her eyes. "I don't want to lose you," she said. "I won't," I answered, "but you'll have to meet me as an equal." That was the first honest conversation we'd had in years. We didn't fix everything that day. Healing doesn't work like that. But something shifted. Respect replaced assumption. Understanding replaced expectation. I'll tell you where we are today and why walking away that night was the strongest decision I ever made. Today, my life is peaceful. Not perfect, but honest. I live in my own home, filled with books, plants, and quiet mornings. I choose how I spend my time. I choose who has access to my energy, and I choose not to beg for respect ever again. My relationship with my daughter is different now, healthier, built on truth rather than obligation. She no longer introduces me as just mom. She introduces me as someone she respects, and that matters. I often think about that night, the dinner, the laughter downstairs, the moment I was asked to stay hidden. I don't replay it with bitterness. I replay it with clarity. Walking away wasn't weakness. It was dignity. It was the moment I stopped teaching others how to treat me poorly. If there's one thing I want you to take from my story, it's this. You don't need to shout to be powerful. You don't need to argue to be right. Sometimes the strongest message is silence, followed by self-respect. If this story spoke to you, comment strength below. Only those who truly understand quiet power will know why.